Real name is Estrella Karu.
Want anyone interested to participate or join this conversation, you can ask them to log on to both websites to actually continue and follow that conversation.
Yes, and I think today is going to be an exciting event, and I think it's always it's always unique, to get the private sector being able to appreciate investing in young children. And I think it's a very big opportunity for Uganda to have the private sector and UNICEF and Save the Children and the other partners to be able to be part of this huge achievement for Uganda.
I totally agree with you, and we will be. I have personally been involved, and NTVUganda is involved in a partnership with UNICEF, that now PSFU has partnered with UNICEF to invest and put together our efforts in promoting children in Uganda, not just Uganda, but in the world. Now, today we'll, of course, be unveiling the business principles. We'll take you through some of those business principles. If you take your time, the banners at the front have the 10 business principles, so you can take your time and go through them. We'll probably, through the afternoon, try and highlight those business principles. As we wait for our chief guest who's going to be picked, it is really us to introduce to you to our very short program. This is a very short and entertaining program. And
very entertaining.
We'll try and keep it that way because anything to do with live TV, we have to try and follow program. So as soon as we have our chief guest in, we'll then immediately turn to our national anthems. We'll have both the Uganda anthem and the East African anthem. And if you haven't mastered the anthems, please quickly go into Google and look up the lyrics to the song.
We actually have a raffle ticket for someone who can sing the East African anthem. And
Perfect.
I hope 10 can get the ticket.
Can I win?
I doubt, Maurice. I really doubt it.
Okay. You have to sharpen your Swahili for that.
Maybe you can start the first stanza and I see if you can try.
Well, Afrinena will do a much better job. We will be introducing to you one of our U reporters. We hope you can join us later. I'll also probably at that point introduce you to U Report and what U Report really does. And we will recognize some of you who have come here to be part of this very special event.
Yes. And I think this is really a very exciting evening. And it is so interesting to really understand. It's not very possible that people could actually link investment in young children with economic returns. And I think from the presentations you would hear this evening, you will really appreciate that practically if we invest in children, we will put Uganda ahead.
I want to put a disclaimer. She's from the private sector foundation. Clearly, our interests are close to do with business.
Definitely, definitely.
And we see where you're going with that. Okay, I want to quickly just request Afrinena, our wonderful children who are here, and if you just joined us, you missed a wonderful presentation by our children. Afrinena, if you could give us another one song, and then we'll officially begin thereafter. Afrinena?
Yes. Afrinena Children's Choir, we are still waiting for you for another song or another rap. You now have to remind the audience that Uganda is it has so many opportunities. It's just one of a few countries where we can have a president that can actually sing and rap. You remember the song? Eh? You remember the song for the president? Can you try it? Try it. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, let's have one last song and then I'll do for you the president song. I can actually do it much more better. Wow. Thank you very much. I think they need another applause. Now, can you do the rap of the president? And who can do it better? Who can do it better here? Put up your hand. Please come. Come to the microphone. You want me to give you this? All right. Start it.
You want another rap? Yes, sir. You want another rap? Yes, sir. Take on, You want another rap? You want another rap? Yes, sir. Take on, steady. You want another rap? Yes, sir. You want another rap? Yes, sir.
Yes. I think he has really tried. Morris, what do you think about it? They have really tried it. And I am really going to ask someone to try the anthem of the East Africa. You know there are some hard tasks we have.
Ruth, I thought
you should do that?
I thought you were giving the young child an air ticket. Really.
Okay.
Are you offering an air ticket?
Yes.
He's done a fantastic job.
Yes.
He only missed the president's donation.
Yes.
Right?
No, I want. Where is the child? Where are you? Where is the child who has sung the song? Please come. We are going to give you a very special present. But also, I want to request, if you've been very much impressed by this young man here, you can also give a present to this young man. In addition to my present. Don't you think so? Don't you think you deserve a present?
I deserve it.
He really deserves it, isn't it? So let's look around and see who will give you a present in addition to what I'll give you. Okay? Who was impressed by this young man, really? If you are were you impressed with this young man?
We have
Yeah.
we have CEOs in the room, right?
Oh my God.
So look around. Since
I
they're
am looking around and no one is
since,
really
since
convinced
they're your
that
business
this
partners.
man,
Uh-huh.
this man really, my business executives, this man really needs to go home with some pocket money, isn't it? And I promise I'm giving you some. Let me get my bag. Okay? But I want some additional hands on him. Yeah, she's there, yes. We have someone at least. For you in addition to mine? Okay. Oh my God, thank you very much. Thank you. At least he's going to go home happy, isn't it? This will take you for a week, isn't it? Okay. Let me also get mine. And oh, there's another one. Thank you very much. Our artists. Our artist. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. There's another. There is another one. Ah, nice. Thank you, KCB. Thank you very much. Oh, you have to learn how to bank, and this is KCB telling you this.
I thought he was opening a bank account for him. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. It's fine. It's
After
okay.
this,
Oh, it's okay.
KCB is opening up a bank
It's
account
okay.
for him. Yes. So please, thank you very much. Now, you see what it means to get up? Young girls and boys, you see this? He stood up. Hey, oh my God. Another person? Thank you very much. Okay? He really stood up and he did it. And I think this is what these gentlemen and ladies are doing here today, to stand up today and say, we are here to support investing in young children. Isn't it? Maurice?
Yes, you're very right. A lot of the stakeholders are here, and the reason we invited CEOs and members of the civil society and the private sector, both public and private sector, is really to get everyone involved in discussing matters children. As we still discuss this, allow me again interject, Ruth, briefly, and ask Nena to do one song, and thereafter we will kick off our program. So, Afrinena, you have one last chance to earn yourselves another air ticket, or depending on how Ruth is kind, yeah, we could earn ourselves all air tickets. So, Afrinena, and then we'll officially kick off. Like I said, if you're tweeting, the hashtag is Invest in UG Children. But also we have a hashtag for today's event. That is hashtag CRBPUG. Yeah? I'm hoping I'm right. Am I right? Good. Hashtag CRBPUG. All right. That's the one for today's event. But the generic hashtag we have is Invest in UG Children. And again, the reason is there. So, all right. Afrinena?
All right. I want to remind you once again, we are live on NTV, and we are starting very soon in the next few minutes. And we have another surprise tonight, but I will let you know later. Maurice, you have any other take on this?
Well, we were halfway with where Frenena was supposed to, what Frenena was supposed to do with us. So we'll allow them complete their song, and then we'll officially start. All right. As soon as we are ready. Are we set? Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our Frenena Children's Choir for a job well done. They will be back with us later on in the program. Once again, a very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this launch of the Children's Rights and Business Principles, a partnership. UNICEF, Global Compact Uganda, we have Save the Children, and Private Sector Foundation. All right. Now, quickly, we want to get into the program. But before we do that, we want to play for you a video that will kickstart this conversation, and then we'll continue with our program.
Enjoy the watching.
Lights, please.
about 20 million children in Uganda today, more than half of Uganda's population. Of these, 8 million children are living in poverty, deprived of many basic services they need to grow up, realize their potential, and become healthy, productive citizens in Uganda's workforce. By adopting the children's rights and business principles, businesses in Uganda are committing to respecting and supporting children's rights in the workplace, marketplace, the community, and environment.
Every business can only last if there's client, if there are takers, if there are customers, even if it is services. If the whole generation that you are grooming today will not be in a position to buy what your company will be able to sell in the generation to come, then your company has a problem with sustainability. So you need to invest in children so that they become responsible citizens, and they also can now become customers to whatever you are producing, you as a business entity, be it in production or in services.
Uganda aspires to transform from a peasant-based economy to a prosperous upper-middle-income country by 2040. This vision will only be realized if the private sector focuses on Uganda's children.
The development of children in the first 15 years is key. Bring it even further, the first 5 years, fundamental for brain development. Otherwise, they'll never reach their full potential. Their IQ will never cross a certain number if they do not get that nourishment and support when they are below the age of 5. So we must focus on this, and we must make a deliberate effort, both as private sector and public sector, to sensitize our communities the value of children. And the future of this country, if we're ever going to achieve our Vision 2040, is if we invest adequately in our children and right at the start. Playing catch up at this point.
It's 3 o'clock.
Children must not be workers. Any child under 18 should not be working for you. And sometimes our children come in and they don't have their birth certificate. You may employ a 16-year-old. So we need to be extra careful to make sure we're not employing children. We're not allowing children into our value chain as business people. We mustn't allow the children to be the suppliers, to be the ones that, for example, crush the stones that we then use in our construction industry. So we need to be very, very careful to make sure the children are protected. These children look up to us as successful business people, and they want to be like us. So who are we? What kind of role models are we being? And I think we need to take that and look at it very seriously and see that you become a good role model.
There is a limited time to live. And if you have a limited time to live, do you have the successors of our country? These are the children. Those are needed children. For me, I'm in for that. And as I speak to you, I'm sponsoring a number of children from nursery to universities, even abroad. I would like to see that every Ugandan child, possibly including the refugees who are living here, they should be given a chance to go to school.
Adopting child-friendly ways of doing business will have a far-reaching impact to help create a healthy, productive, and creative workforce that will enable Uganda achieve Vision 2040.
The time is now for government, for development partners, for the private sector, for NGOs, civil society organizations, to lay more attention, more investment in supporting the growth of the young child. That's what we are talking about, investing in young children, in healthcare, supporting their education, supporting the way they live, the way they are feeding, nutrition, defending their rights.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
I think that was interesting, isn't it? And
yes.
Maurice, there were some very interesting eye-catching words that I heard. For example, what kind of role models are you? That was important. And I think the other one was, we have limited time to live. And who are your successors? That's important. The other one was 5 years of life of a child. 5 years is very important. So we must have to do something now. And I think lastly, if we have to achieve Vision 2040, then we must invest now in the children.
Well, you really summarized it and left me no points, right?
Nothing.
Okay, made my job very hard. Moving on very quickly, I want to request Winnie to quickly take the stand. Winnie is one of our EU reporters, and just before she actually does, as she prepares for her Unicef Uganda in May 2011 launched a EU report, a user-centered citizen engagement social monitoring tool based on simple SMS messages. Now, EU report community has grown to a population of over 265,000, with 100 new subscribers joining in on an average day. Imagine 100. Well, you yourself can be a EU reporter, and I will just tell you how to join, and I'm sure Winnie will do a better job at that. The average age, by the way, of some of our EU reporters is 24 years old, and 36%, and I think the women should do better, 36% are female, okay? And to join, and I hope she can re-emphasize this, you can send the word join to a short code 8500 and submit a few demographic details. But I'm sure Winnie will do a much better job. Over to you, Winnie, up here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Winnie Appeal, and I am very, very honored to stand before you, not just to stand before you, but also to represent a group of Ugandans who I believe have just recently realized that they have a voice, and this voice is the kind of thing that will bring change to this country. Unicef, like Maurice said, recently launched a tool that gives young people a chance to let their voice be heard, and they get a chance to tell us what is happening in their communities and in their lives. And I, for one, am very, very privileged to be part of this platform because it gives me a chance to share what's going on in my community, as well as be able to be an effective change in the development of my country. Well, today I will be taking you through two things, one of which is giving you a brief about what your report is, just adding on to what Maurice said, as well as taking you through some of the poll results that went through one of the poll questions that was sent in last week. So I'll get right into it. In brief, just to re-echo what Maurice said, UNICEF launched U-Report in the year 2011, and it's basically an SMS platform that allows young people to communicate through SMS. Now, this platform actually gives you a chance to send in a free text message. Like I said, this message is completely free of charge. And it's actually very, very quite easy to be a part of this. I would like to ask that if you could, you join me and I just take you through how you can actually be able to join your report. If you could, with me, could you take out your phone, please? Please just simply, and if you're at home, you could do this too. I'm not sure which camera to look at, but all those at home, please join us in doing this too. All you have to do is go to your messages and type in the word join. That's J-O-I-N. Yes, and then you send it to 8500. It's as simple as that. It won't charge you a single shilling. Yes, so 8500, yes. So that is how you do it very simply. Now, your report not only has young people sending in their messages, it also sends young people different poll questions that they have a chance to take part in and asks for their views. Now, in relation to our theme for today, which is Invest in Ugandan Children, young people were sent 2 questions last week, and I will take you through some of the results of that. That's a picture of the young people taking part in U Report. Okay, so the first question was, you reporter, if you meet a top business person, what would you need to convince him or her that you are the best possible employee he can get? 13,324 of us responded to this question. And there were some very key findings, among which was one of the most popular issues mentioned by the U reporters was the need for the right marketplace skill. We felt that you need the right skill to be able to work in a particular business. Another issue, another key finding was work ethics, such as being a team player, was also something that young people felt was very vital for us to be able to work for a business, as well as being able to have the appropriate qualification for the opportunities in the business sector. Yes, so that was the first question. The next question that was sent in asked, you reporter, how can business invest to enable you to become the best employee or most productive you can ever get? In this question, they also told us that all their replies would be shared at this forum. Now, 5,910 of us had the chance to respond to this, and there were very particular key findings of this. The first of which being building employee capacity through on-job trainings and coaching. We felt that it's one thing to be hired for a job, but it's another thing to actually be on the job and get on-job training. So we cannot just better our skills, but also better the organization that we're working with. Another key finding was product recycling, ultimately seen as a step toward protecting the environment. Also, job security and attractive remuneration in the interest of economic stability was something that was among the key findings, as well as safety work environment by providing protective gear. Now, if you can see from all of these findings, one thing that keeps coming up is the fact that these particular findings to this question actually tie in with the principles that we have come to launch today. I'll take you through some of the examples of the SMSs that we got, and you'll be able to see how they directly tie to the principles and how important it is for us to actually adopt these principles in our businesses. For example, a U reporter from Busia sent a message saying it's important to sensitizing on children's rights. And as we can see from our principles, this ties in very well with the first principle. One from Wakiso said they should invest in the safety of their employees by buying safety gear, and also should invest in buying health insurance for their employees and their family. And this ties in very well with principle 4 and 3, which talk about providing decent work as well as protection and safety for children. We had a U reporter sending in a message from Lira, and he was saying recycling of waste products to come up with another product in order to avoid wasting resources and also helping to keep the environment clean. Now, this is something that ties in quite well with principle number 7. Excuse me. Well, sadly, that is all the time that I have for you today. But before I leave the podium, I would just like to probe you and encourage you and challenge you to find a young person and try to find out how is it that you can be able to invest in this young person. Better still, find out the areas that you can be able to put these different principles into practice, not just for the empowerment of these young children, but also for the betterment of your business. Thank you very much, and have a lovely weekend. Sorry, afternoon.
That was the U report. And Maurice, I think we have something next on the agenda, but I want to remind, Maurice, can you remind everyone here who our official guests are, because our official table is already full?
Yes.
And
I will give you the honors to introduce our official guests, because really, you have the entire list there. But I wanted to ask Winnie whether she's still living in the weekend. It is fine, Winnie. It is fine. No one loves Monday. Yeah, no one loves Monday. Okay, we really want to officially kickstart this, and since our chief guest is here, it is indeed an honor and a pleasure to welcome our chief guest, the Honorable Health Minister, Ndugu Ruhakana Rugunda, who's joined us. I need to say Ndugu has many other titles, but I'll stay away from those, especially the others that are not from the central government. May I also introduce the Right Honorable Minister for Youth, Women and Gender, the Honorable, I have turned it round, but it means the same thing. The Honorable Karoro Kurut. She was wondering, is that a new ministry?
But Morris is always like that.
Is that a new
Honorable
ministry?
Minister. It shouldn't be.
Honorable. All right, you want to introduce?
Yes, and I would like to also introduce to you the UN representative, Miss Ida Gilmer, is here. I would also like to recognize the Save the Children in Uganda's country director, Miss Barbara Barros. I would also like to recognize Mr. Kasekende, Martin Kasekende, who's the Global Compact Network Uganda chairman. And he's also Wechtiwa, Minister in the Buganda government.
Yes.
Yes, and I would also like to recognize Gideon Badagawa, the Executive Director of Private Sector Foundation Uganda. Morris, I think let's get to the program now.
Yes, may I request, Afrinena, may we all stand? First of all, ladies and gentlemen, may I request the Afrinena Children's Choir to take us through the national anthem.
Uganda, make us afford it.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our Frinena Children's Choir. And you may have your seats. Thank you so much. Ruth, when the children were singing, I quickly went back to primary school. This was synonymous with music, dance, and drama in primary school. That clearly tells you I went to school, right? Yeah? Okay. Did you go to school?
Yeah, of course I did, and you know what used to happen at school. In primary 1 and 2.
Okay. When you're the only ones who were already led to the front to participate in
And
NTV.
very fast on the porridge line. So,
well,
that is it.
Clearly you went to one of those schools, but it's okay. We'll quickly move on. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed an honor to be here. The launch of the Children's Rights and Business Principles, and on behalf of UNICEF, Network Uganda, the Global Impact Network Uganda, Serve the Children, and the Private Sector Foundation, you're warmly welcome to this launch. And without wasting any time, may I invite the UNICEF representative in Uganda, Ms. Ida Gilmer, to make her remarks.
Masters of Ceremony, the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, the Honorable Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Mrs. Mary Karuru Okorut, senior government officials present here, members of Parliament, the chairperson of the Global Compact Network Uganda, Engineer Martin Kasekende, the chairperson of the Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Mr. Patrick Bitature, the executive director of the Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Mr. Gideon Badagawa, the country director of Save the Children in Uganda, Mrs. Barbara Barrow, the World Health Organization representative, Dr. Wundi, other UN colleagues present here, members of the diplomatic corps, civil society organizations present, all protocols observed, our beloved children, the future business executives and the future leaders of this country, thank you for the beautiful music. One of our greatest icons of our time, the late Nelson Mandela, once said, "There can be no keener revolution of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children." It is thus a true honor for me to be here today to take part in the launch of the Child Rights and Business Principle in Uganda. UNICEF wishes to congratulate Uganda for being the newest member of the international community to officially pledge to work with the business community to respect and support children's rights. Uganda is the 41st country in the world to officially launch the Child Rights and Business Principles. Ladies and gentlemen, these business principles set out the action required of the private sector to protect children's rights and to holistically promote the well-being of children. Fully aligned with the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which Uganda ratified in 1991, the business principles set out steps that all businesses can take to integrate child rights into their operations. Children are key stakeholders of business in their roles as consumers, family members of employees, young workers, future employees and business leaders, and as citizens in the communities and environments in which business operates. Business, whether large or small, therefore inevitably interacts with and affects the lives of children. Ladies and gentlemen, there are around 20 million children in Uganda today, nearly 60% of Uganda's population. Of this, around 8 million children live in poverty, deprived of many of the basic services and rights they need to grow up to fully realize their potential and be productive citizens in the future. Furthermore, over 2 million Ugandan children are currently undernourished, meaning they have stunted physical and cognitive growth, which is a permanent and irreparable. It is estimated that this is already costing Uganda over 5% of its annual GDP, or 1.8 trillion shillings every year. That is a huge loss. In children, especially investment in the early years, is the best and pure for its future. Early interventions, particularly in the ages of 0 to 8, lead to increased earnings and improved behavior and learning outcomes. In fact, leading economists state that the financial return on the investment for early learning in the early years is as high as 15 to 17%. And I know this group knows very well about return on your investment. So if you get 15 to 17% return on your investment, that's a very, very good investment. So this is all documented, and there is extensive evidence actually to support that. This campaign, recognizing this a couple of months ago, as we've just heard, the Invest in Uganda Children, Realize Uganda's Vision 2040 campaign was launched. This campaign is a call to invest in today's children in order to realize Uganda's vision of transforming from a peasant-based economy into a prosperous middle-income country. It is a call that stresses that without a laser-sharp focus on today's children, Uganda's future and its Vision 2040 would be compromised. It is a call that states that greater investment in children today will ensure that they grow into a strong, healthy, and productive workforce that will drive Uganda's social and economic development and greater international competitiveness and achieve its Vision 2040. Ladies and gentlemen, Uganda's Vision 2040 is about being more prosperous. The engine that drives prosperity is the private sector. But that prosperity will only happen if there is a knowledgeable and skilled and competitive labor force for the private sector to access. And this skilled workforce can only be achieved if Ugandan children are well nurtured and educated from the moment they are conceived all the way through the different stages of their childhood. In other words, this prosperity can only be achieved if there are greater, sharper investments in children. The launch of the Child Rights and Business Principles in Uganda is a major step forward to work with the private sector to ensure child rights are better protected by the business community and that greater investments are made in children. UNICEF would like to assure you, Honorable Minister, and the representatives of the private sector, that we will work with you to ensure there is a strong public-private partnership in advancing child rights in Uganda. We now look forward to that journey with you all and to working with you to realize Uganda's Vision 2040. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, the UNICEF representative, Ms. Ida Gilmer and Maurice.
All right, may I invite to the podium Mr. Gideon Badagawa, the Executive Director of the Private Sector Foundation Uganda, to make his keynote address.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. At least to those that I've not had opportunity to say so earlier on, including the guest of honor. Good afternoon, Honorable. Our guest of honor, Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, the Honorable Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, which is in charge of the portfolio that we are addressing tonight, the representatives from Save the Children and from Unicef and from the UN Global Compact. I think the names have been mentioned earlier on, so I may not go into mentioning their names, but suffice it to say here that we have been working together, and that's why the banner here behind, all these logos you see, I want to authenticate that indeed each one of us has made a contribution towards the organization of this occasion tonight. Colleagues from the private sector, the civil society, the children, and all of you, our guests tonight, I want to welcome you on behalf of the board and management of the private sector, and indeed on behalf of our other partners. The theme for this afternoon is Invest in UG Children, Realizing Vision 2040. Guest of honor, this theme was very carefully selected by this consortium of 4, just to help us reflect and understand that for us to be able to realize the vision that only a few years ago we endorsed as a society, as a Ugandan society, we must focus and pay attention to private investment, because this is where job creation is, this is where capital is. And the future of the private investment is in young children, because we are looking at a labor force well nurtured and prepared to be delivered to us to use in our businesses. When we go out to advertise for jobs as private sector, we look for experience, we look for skills, we look for good education, qualifications. So you are looking for that product well nurtured after 18 years, and you want to get it off the shelf and use it for productivity, for profitability, so that you can sustain your business. That's good. But just like we prepare ourselves in our businesses, the goods and services that we bring to bear to the market, the design that we make, product design, the branding, the packaging, really the presentation you want to make up in the market to be able to compete is even more important than the product at the fore end. And this is the scenario I'm trying to paint here. That these children that we are seeking your support to invest in need to be prepared for us to get off the shelf and use to enhance our production, productivity, and profitability. It has been said already, Uganda's population, half of it are young children. We are talking about more than 50% children below 18 years. And when you look at those fell above 18 years, up to 25, you are talking about 75% of Uganda's population being young children looking for nothing else but jobs, looking for nothing else but skills. And they needed to be prepared to gain these skills. I think the challenge that we have had before is to assume, and this has been an illusion, guests of honor, to assume that the reason our labor productivity here in Uganda, even compared within the region, has been very low because we lack skills. Yes, that is true, but the foundation matters for one to gain these skills. Because if you have not prepared that child well enough to gain the skills to be able to support the private sector to produce and present themselves to the market, it cannot happen at 18 years. And we have seen this in the private sector, haven't we? So, businesses must appreciate that the young children and the youth, because they are also young, are huge consumers of what we produce, are a potential future workforce. Now, it's these two mainly, even if you did not want to listen to anything else, it's these two that must drive investment in the young generation. You're talking about 75% of the population being young. Now, if you're talking about demand, consuming your products, certainly this is a good venture for you to put in money. You're talking about a future workforce. When you go to the hospitality industry, many of us have been complaining that we are using other people, we are not using Ugandans. But it depends on how we brought up these Ugandans. Right from the word go. They will not pick up. You had these young children when they sang this national anthem, the East African anthem. I was amazed. This is what it means. Young children pick instructions very fast, and I'll be referring to that later. If any one of us was asked even to learn the East African anthem, as it were, I think it wouldn't take us an afternoon, but certainly it can take hours, just 2 or 3 hours for these fellows to learn. And that tells a lot. The perception, the assimilation, how they take instructions very quickly. These young people can cram very fast. And I think that is one of the reasons some of our irate people use them in fun ventures, including wars, and take them for child labor. Because they will do it very fast. Whatever you want to deliver will be done very fast. But are we doing it right? Investing responsibly. I thought I would allude to that theme before I move on our guest of honor. The United Nations, to which Uganda subscribes, has given clear guidelines and pronounced itself on the rationale for investing in early childhood. And most countries, and we are the 41st country to sign on to these principles. 40 other countries within the UN system, the UN framework, have already signed on to this. And the most recent one, as far as I remember, was in Kenya. I think my senior here, Wechtiwa, myself, Ruth, and I think some staff from the Unicef attended this launch in Kenya only, I think, about 2 months away. So we are the 41st country to launch the child rights and business principles. But suffice it to say here that every time we invest, beyond profits, we must always look at people within our environment, the people that we use, and the communities where we're investing, but also look at the planet. In essence, I'm talking about the environment. So the 3 Ps are very important: the profits, the people, and the planet. That is responsible investment. Because all these point to one thing, or two, if you like. welfare of our population, but also sustainability of whatever we do in terms of investment. The International Child Trends has given some statistics, and I thought we would share these statistics before I proceed. They have documented that every 9 seconds, a child drops out of school. Every 13 seconds, a child is battered. Every 20 seconds, a child is arrested in juvenile delinquencies. Every 35 seconds, a child is abused physically, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, or even sacrificed. I was watching TV last night, and I saw child sacrifice. I think some of you must have watched this. Every 36 seconds, a child is born in abject poverty. Every 60 seconds, a baby of low birth weight is born. Every 4 minutes, a child indulges in drug abuse. Every 8 minutes, a child commits violent crime, like killing fellow children. Every 41 minutes, a teenager dies in a road accident. Every 5 hours, a teenager commits suicide. Every day, a mother dies at childbirth, meaning an orphaned child is left this world, and we have seen many street kids, not only in Uganda, in Africa, and elsewhere. What does this mean? This trend means that globally, our children are increasingly becoming more and more vulnerable to the environment around them. So what, therefore, is the business case? Should we be bothered? Does it mean anything to us as business people when you listen to all these statistics? I would say that recently, if you look at the rate of growth, not only in Uganda, because we have been growing very fast, business establishments, business growth, investments have been expanding, economies have been growing. And when you look at our figures here, I think we have not grown less than 5%. And the average has been way above 8% per annum for the last 15 or so years. But less attention has actually, amidst all this growth, has been put to the major stakeholders, the 75%, I should say. Less attention has been put on the young children, and especially so on the children between the ages of 0 and 5. Less attention. We can talk about establishing a school through our corporate social responsibility. We can talk about a health center established. We can talk about community initiatives through corporate social responsibility or investment. But little attention has been put on the very young children, the foundation years. And yet the fundamentals of business practice, like cooperation, competition, respecting one another in the marketplace, fair competition, are built within the foundation years. So less attention has been put there. So the key initiatives we are supporting today, including regional integration, including market convergence, and we're talking about ESC, we're talking about COMESA, we're talking about all these markets, market convergence, working together. These key initiatives are indeed all about cooperation. Cooperation to compete. Businesses must cooperate, must innovate, must share research experience, must share market information and business strategies to be able to compete. Now, the principles governing all these initiatives are nurtured during the formative years to cooperate. When children are playing, they are cooperating. They are learning each other. They are sharing experiences.
It's therefore everyone's business to support children to be creative, to be innovative, to share experiences and strategies in problem solving and reinforcing each other. We seem to have relegated this responsibility more to NGOs as business community, civil society organizations. They are doing a lot. Must we do something as well in terms of investing in the young children, especially the under fives? I must put it from the very outset here that the biggest product any country can be proud of is that lot of children that are delivered to the industry as a competent, well-nurtured, and strong labor force. That is the biggest product any country can be proud of. The 18-year-olds that are being delivered to the industry as competent, well-nurtured, and that is especially under fives, well-nurtured and ready to work to give us profits. Whether such labor shall be able to compete is largely reflected in how they behave, how they think, how they feed, read, how they sleep, how they relate with one another, how they respect each other. And we have seen a lot of disrespect, even amongst our top societies here. A lot of disrespect, including Parliament. The whole answer lies in upbringing. Suffice it to say here that the fundamental difference between the societies in the West and the societies in Africa is indeed the manner in which we bring up our children, the parenting. And it's not only the schools. We have been told that a child goes to school to learn, but education is at home, starts at home. So the parenting, talk to your workers as a business executive, as an employer, less every so often. And this is the reason why later I will talk about child-friendly policies at the workplaces. Talk to your workers about their children, take interest, because when they turn their attention away from the work for which you have recruited them, you lose productivity. Because they are attending, they are bothered with the challenges of the children, health, education, don't have school fees, find a way of working with this employee to be able to turn back their mind to the work that you have assigned them to do. And it's possible. We have seen examples even here in Uganda of companies that have done this. So we need to look at how children are brought up to respect others and respect property. And this is very important for employers. You don't want to invite strikes because people were badly brought up. Even in schools and universities, most of these ringleaders are children that never breastfed. You know? The nutrition itself was very poor. So that, in a way, affects the manner in which this child will assimilate, especially at the very young age. That's why we emphasize nutrition as much as possible. Let's feed our children. To learn to tolerate one another at the workplaces and in the marketplace, and play fair competition. Why are we having counterfeits, for instance, in the marketplace? People think that they can go it the easy way. Genuine manufacturers are struggling to bring genuine products, very high quality products on the market. Someone who thinks that the world is so easy because that's how they were brought up can run away with it and bring very cheap, substandard counterfeits on the product. Part of this is the way these entrepreneurs were brought up. And this is our duty now to ensure that we lay investment right from the word go. To innovate and be creative for enhanced productivity and profitability, but also to respect and protect the environment and the ecosystem that sustain our investments. Psychologists and scientists have presented 3 arguments for promoting investment in young children, in early childhood. They have given us the scientific argument, they have given us the economic argument, and they have given us the equity argument. And the scientific argument goes as follows: that nearly 75% of a human brain development occurs within the first 24 months of the life cycle. I'll repeat that. Nearly 75% of human brain development occurs within the first 24 months of the life cycle. So if I can use the analogy of a blank paper, blank piece of paper, you are born, your brain is born like a blank piece of paper. But within 24 months, within the first 24 months, what the child sees, how you bark at them, within the first 24 months, 75% of this blank paper will have been filled. And that is for a lifetime. If the child was beaten when they were very young, they want to beat others. If they were abused when they were very young, they want to abuse others. If they were, so you are actually laying a foundation. And that's why investment during the first 2 up to 5 years, if you like, is critically important. In Uganda here, there is a saying, you cannot wait for 15 years to turn back. It's gone. This is the most important time for anyone to invest in child development because brains pick instructions very fast. They have also shown that brain development in the early years, up to 5 years, influence human behavior for a lifetime. And they have put it to 85%. That 85% of your behavior today, adult behavior, was nurtured before 5 years. If you are not told not to take what it does not belong to you when you are 5 years, you will grow up a thief. I mean, you will go to school, get the qualifications, you can be an accountant, you can be an engineer, you can go and fetch PhDs and so on and so forth. But these are the corrupt officials that we are having in public today. Because they think they can take what does not belong to them, because they were not properly nurtured. So, honesty, self-esteem, expression depends on how much the child was given chance to discover themselves when they were those tender years. The economic argument, of course, has been alluded to earlier on by my colleague, Gilma. The return on investment is very high when you lay your capital in young children. Return on investment. And especially under 5s, it goes up to 60%. She was indicating that would be 15%. But that is up to 18 years. But if you consider only 0 to 5 and lay your investment there, the benefits that we reap go up to 60%, implying that for every investment that you put in the young children, you get 60% more, either directly or indirectly. Investment in young children yields increased labor productivity, high business return, and reduced social costs. So even what we've been alluding to here on the MDGs, you actually stand to read better social indicators on water and sanitation, on health care, on education, and so on and so forth. And as a country, it's not only the private sector, but as a country, if we leverage more resources, even through the budget, and put these resources to support the young children, and I'm happy about the universal primary education, I'm happy about the health care that we're now doing, really focusing on the young children, but we could do more. We could do more because UPE is not preschool. It's not preschool. UPE, you are looking at primary 1 all through primary 7. But we are talking about the daycare where much of the job is actually reading, writing, understanding each other. Today, we are giving these young kids, guests of honor, exams to write. We have not allowed them to discover themselves through child play, through engaging, the parents, the caretakers, engaging them on various assignments, away from test assignments. But we are doing that, and I think that must be discouraged because the child has not picked enough capacity to be able to write exams at that level. Uganda's labor productivity today is the lowest in the region, with value added per worker estimated at only $1,085 compared to Kenya, which is $3,457, and Tanzania, which is $2,061, essentially because our Ugandan workers lack particular skills which include the following: creativity, innovation, perseverance, being a go-getter. They withdraw pretty fast from any challenges. They don't want to try out challenges. When something gets hard, they withdraw. They don't want to persevere. But this, again, is nurtured from the very childhood that this person had. Tolerance, resilience. We don't have these. The work culture in Uganda is very poor. At least I speak on behalf of the business community. They are complaining the work culture of the people that we are employing here in Uganda is very, very poor. People are coming late to work. They want to leave early. Look at the teachers, look at the health workers, look at the industrial workers. And I'm saying this cannot be picked from the universities, it cannot be picked from secondary schools, it cannot be picked from primary schools. It has to be nurtured. That when I'm invited to such a forum, I must come on time. We have a big problem in this country, and a problem that we picked from our childhood, which must change. The equity argument, of course, has been given that early investment brings everyone to match the same level and foundation because they learn together, they share together, they relate together, and have a common approach to executing tasks. There is a lot of convergence during that age group, 0 to 5 years. There is a lot of convergence. There is a lot of sharing. So when we invest and allow the daycare center, we are recruiting the caregivers, we are supporting communities to support their children and parents and so on. We have a lot of convergence in that way. So again, the question is, why should businesses be investing in young people? Two things. It's in our interest as businesses to invest in children well-being because, as I said earlier on, children are major consumers, but they are also a high potential for a future labor force. Those of you who are here in business and really continue to ask and wonder why you should put that penny in supporting these children, think about this. You have a sugar factory, you're a dairy producer, you are in poultry farming, you are in textiles, beverage, the splash or soda. I'm not talking about the other one. Paper and paper products, exercise books, Musana and Oscar Industries, and so on and so forth. Plastics, Nice House of Plastics, and so on and so forth. And so on and so forth. You can name them. You will appreciate that children are major consumers of your products. Dairy products, milk, yogurt, cheese, butter, blue band, if you like, that is a vegetable. They are major consumers of eggs, major consumers of bread, juices. They take pens to school, they take books to school. They wear uniforms, textiles, Southern Range, Nyanza, Peak Fair Group. They need play materials, crafts. They need all this to shape their brains. And I'm struggling to get you to understand that when you put money in these young children, there are multiple benefits. The ripple effects are much, much wider. All these have a direct link to businesses in terms of sales and profits. This symbiotic relationship is reason enough for businesses to lay investment in young children and for government to develop policies that promote and support such relationship. Guest of honor, we are very happy that Cabinet has endorsed the BUBU, the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy. And we think that if we implement it, we have millions of children in primary school. So much so that if we said as a policy that each child should be subjected to even a liter of milk in school every week, the backward linkages will be strengthened. To have the dairy producers supply milk, if we talked about eggs, to have the poultry farmers supply eggs, supply chicken, supply water if you want, and we have more than 60 producers of water, factories producing water. Juices, you stimulate local production, but actually you are nourishing the young population as well. So we are very happy about this BUBU, the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy. I'll run very fast and show quickly why So this summit is therefore intended, guest of honor, to among others get each one of us appreciate the role that we can play in supporting child-focused policies and improving human behavior. Private Sector Foundation Uganda, UNICEF, Save the Children, and the UN Global Compact, all these are represented here, have joined hands, therefore, to work with everyone to respect, protect, and fulfill children's rights, even beyond the corporate social responsibility that we are already offering. Our message here is that it's not enough to give scholarships to university students and secondary students. It's not enough to sponsor heart surgeries to infants, and I know many are doing this, including the Madivan group. It's not enough to sink boreholes. It's not enough to sink boreholes, construct pit latrines, or even support the Cancer Institute in Mulago. Why? Because this may not give the desired outcome if the users of these facilities are not well nurtured. You can talk about toilet manners. That is one example. You have a latrine, you have a toilet constructed, but are people using it, and which people are using it? So you can lay investments, all these business principles, 5 there and 5 here, point to one thing, that the business community can put a lot of investment in early learning. You can invest in daycare centers, in preschool. You can invest in improved health care, water and sanitation, hygiene, and improved nutrition. You can invest in child play for self-discovery so that they can reinforce and motivate each other. You can invest in child protection from the unhealthy and unsafe products. through responsible advertising, and the media here is very important. We can invest in environmental protection, and this can be through educational programs to sensitize our children and communities on proper waste disposal, for instance, so that a child grows up knowing when I chew a gum, I don't simply throw it. When I've used a piece of paper, I don't simply throw it. There's a bin where I can put it, and so on and so forth. I told you the major difference between our societies here and the society in the West is the way we have been brought up. Reinforcement and motivation of workers, we can do this. We can recruit counselors to counsel our workers about parenting, about early childhood development, about stress management and coping. Our workers are stressed at work. Why? Because of domestic issues, and more especially children. So we can talk to them. We can recruit counselors to talk to them, counsel them. I must really commend the broadcasters like WBS, like the NBS, Vivo Energy, Madvan Group, Diamond Trust, and a number of others that have actually already started putting these facilities in place and laying investment in the young children. As I conclude, on way forward, the future holds that customers and clients will want to relate and associate more with businesses and investments that care for children's rights, that care for the environment, that promote peace. And recently, we were launching the Business for Peace initiative here in Kampala. Our philosophy at PSFU is to promote good business practice along these lines. We therefore urge businesses to endorse the 10 child rights and business principles and also protect the environment and the ecosystem that continue to support our livelihoods and those of the future generations. This way, we shall be able to create a positive and sustainable long-term impact on human capital development through a strong foundation and be sure to achieve Vision 2040. Lastly, let me say this, that children help us to appreciate how each one of us came about. They are our reflection, and therefore we must all rise up to the challenge of getting these children to the levels that we are today. When a child looks at a successful entrepreneur, and Dr. Maggie said it, when a child is successful models, help these young children reach their dream. Future for business in these young children to appreciate those that have already and we have exposed.
I am newly arrested youth. I'm so glad to be forms, biscuits, sweets, banking work.
Yes, of honor, social development for them.
The business principle advertising by emergencies through them and engage
the Global Compact Network Uganda, Owetiwa Ingnia Martin Kasekende, to come and address us in just 5 minutes.
Thank you, Ruth. The guest of honor, the Honourable Minister for Health, Dr. Wakana Rugunda, the Honourable Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Mrs. Mary Karoro Okrut, members of Parliament here present, the Unicef representative, Madame Aida, the country director, Save the Children Fund, Children in Uganda, Madame Barbara Barra, members of the Diplomatic Corps here present, the chairperson of Federation of Ugandan Employers, Mr. Nicholas Okwiri, the executive directors of FUE, PSFU, and UMA, and the rest of the protocols observed. I take this opportunity to officially welcome you to this launch of the Children's Rights and Business Principles in Uganda. Guest of honor, allow me to briefly introduce to you what is this new baby called, or new initiative called UN Global Compact, because it has been mentioned quite a bit. The UN Global Compact is the world's leading initiative for businesses that are committed to aligning their strategies and operations within the Global Compact 10 principles in the areas of human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption, with the ultimate intention of responsible business. Maybe, if I may allude to PSFU Director's submission, if all these had been taken care of in the childhood, maybe there would be no business for the Global Compact, because everybody will have been exposed and therefore there will be no need. The UN Global Compact works through established local networks whose role is to facilitate local engagement and guidance to businesses to integrate corporate sustainability within their operations, guided by the 10 principles, as well as the issue area initiatives and engagement platforms like these children's principles. Today we have a total of 105 Global Compact networks spread all over the globe, including the Global Compact Network Uganda, which is hosted by the Federation of Uganda Employers. As a new regime of UN Sustainability Development Goals comes to replace the expiring MDGs after 2015, it is very clear that the role of business will be vital and key to drive development, sustainable development, and the world's population lifting out of poverty. During the UN Global Compact Business Leaders Summit in September last year, in New York, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon unveiled and launched the post-2015 Business Engagement Architecture, which illustrates the main building blocks necessary to enhance corporate sustainability as an effective contribution to sustainable development, creating value for both business and society. Central to the business architecture is a new corporate sustainability philosophy and orientation rooted in 3 dimensions, including 1, respecting universal principles, 2, taking action to support broader UN goals, and 3, engaging in partnerships and collective action at the global and local levels. And maximizing the business performance in these domains will require a level of corporate leadership and governance which is not yet realized. This means that businesses contribute to the advancement of sustainable development goals by implementing corporate sustainability strategies that advance inclusive economic growth, social equity and progress, and environmental protection. Those same strategies and practices are increasingly understood to contribute to revenue growth, resource productivity, and mitigation of operational, legal, and reputational risks. An especially promising component of the architecture are the platforms for action and partnership, which can help optimize and scale up corporate sustainability efforts, as well as contribute to corporate participation in the broader multi-stakeholder efforts to achieve UN goals. These supporting elements include various forms and platforms that enable companies and other stakeholders to work together by geography, sector, and issue. Business co-invest and collaboration, even with competitors where needed, will be key to scaling up corporate sustainability. Recent years have witnessed the growth of global platforms and initiatives that focus on a particular sustainability challenge, and the examples are, among others, are the UN's caring for climate as an issue, that is environment and climate, the UN sustainable energy as an issue, that is energy for all, the UN CEO water mandate, and that's for water sustainability as an issue, and now children's rights and principles. Also the UN women's empowerment principles, and then the UN's Business for Peace, which was alluded to by the Executive Director, PSFU, and this was launched in this country 27th of August this year. These issue platforms represent one of the key means by which companies can together collaborate with relevant stakeholders, address systemic challenges, and truly scale up their efforts. Issue platforms exist today to support companies in aligning their activities on all of the likely post-2015 issues. The post-2015 Sustainable Development Agenda presents an opportunity to further engage issue platforms in global solutions, delivery, and encouraging the creation of new initiatives, while also finding ways for different initiatives to coordinate learning and activities for even greater impact. Companies in various industries or sectors are increasingly working together to jointly tackle sustainability issues specific to their sectors. Now, as the Global Compact Network Uganda, we appreciate the local companies that have already inculcated initiatives or projects that enhance children's welfare. We should make children's issues our business, because if we don't, we run a big risk of depriving our future in terms of human resources for our future business, future leaders, future market. You heard the young lady telling you about the market, and the future professionals to take our nation forward. The principles we are launching today were also officially launched, guest of honor, globally during the UNGC Leaders Summit after an excellent global partnership of Unicef, the UN Global Compact, and Save the Children that developed these hands-on principles jointly. These platforms allow the establishment of standards and norms, help define best practice, and facilitate learning and sharing among participating companies and organizations. They also spur innovation and provide recognition to companies that are leading efforts to tackle the issue, thus mitigating the first mover disadvantage that may still exist with respect to certain practices. These issue platforms also facilitate matchmaking for partnerships, both among like-minded businesses and other stakeholders. Finally, they can help organize the business community around an issue in order to improve the enabling environment for making systematic changes. As Charlotte, who is the CEO Novo Nordisk, said, sustainability is most fundamentally about making the world a better place for the next generation. These principles are therefore at the very heart of sustainability. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, OHCWA Engineer Martin Kasekende, for your remarks, and indeed an honor to have you here with us as the Global Compact Network Uganda partners in the Children's Rights and Business Principles. All right. May I, in a very special way now, invite the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Mrs. Karolo Krut, to make her remarks, and thereafter invite our chief guest, Dr. Pakana Rugunda. And Madam, we are live on TV, so it's a national broadcast. You're speaking to the nation, Madam.
I know, I'm not that dumb. Guest of honor, and in the interest of time, all protocol observed. This is indeed a very, very special and important occasion, because unless we come out and plan for the children, we are all doomed. And I'm glad the private sector has taken up the call, because as you say, apart from their being the largest market, they are also the most reliable. But it is a market that we must protect with all due diligence. It is a market that touches all of us. So, Honorable Guest of Honor, you are standing in for the President. It is the President's message, which today is the one that is going to give us a step forward. And so I don't want to take a lot of time. I just want to reiterate the call that let children be children. Let be boys and not laborers. Let girls be girls and not child mothers. It is terrible. Sometimes you meet these great grandfathers and in their homes they have married a girl fit to be their great granddaughter. What are we talking about? I always ask, I've taken some of them for this, and when I ask them, where do you go for this young girl? Oh, I'm looking for homes. I said, why don't you go and buy a cigarette so that he can give you the worm? Let children be children. So I want to thank you very much for this very, very important forum. We are behind you, the ministry is behind you. We are there for the children. Laborers, I would have spoken more, but we don't have much time. Please, if you are using a child as a laborer, wherever you are, the law will get you. There are graduates without jobs. There are young people who have left institutions, they are job hunting. Why do you want to get a child? It is criminal. Guest of honor, it is my pleasure to invite you to address the nation. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Honorable Mary Karoro Krut, the Minister for Gender, Labor and Social Development, the Unicef country representative, and other distinguished heads of UN agencies here and other development partners, the top business executives representing many institutions here, Private Sector Foundation, Uganda Manufacturers Association, the Global Contact Network, and many others. The children of Uganda who have demonstrated their great capability and capacity this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni would have very much wanted to be here, but because of other state engagements, he is unable to do so. Nevertheless, he sends his warm regards and solidarity, and he has given me a message, and it's my pleasure to read President Museveni's message. It is an honor and great pleasure to be part of this function. I would like to appreciate UNICEF for your kind invitation and for the enormous efforts that you have always put to ensure that we as a country achieve our transformation. This makes you a very reliable development partner. UNICEF's work in the area of children's rights is highly appreciated the world over. The fundamental mission of UNICEF is to promote the rights of every child everywhere, in everything the organization does. Thanks to its global presence in nearly every country in the world, it is uniquely positioned to make a difference in the lives of children. It has changed the way children are viewed and treated. Uganda has made great strides in safeguarding the rights of children. These development gains we have made are significant, but the momentum definitely needs to be increased. UNICEF Uganda has worked closely with the government and other partners to accelerate this progress. There is much to show that there is a wide global commitment to advancing children's rights. The world needs new ideas and needs new approaches. That's why UNICEF, the UN Global Compact, and Save the Children developed the Children's Rights and Business Principles. These principles will motivate and inspire managers, workers, and the community to greater levels of implementation. I would like to express my gratitude to UNICEF once again, together with the Private Sector Foundation, for convening a forum to launch the Children's Rights and Business Principles, where people can exchange ideas and find solutions to how business and development organizations can work together to have a dramatic positive impact on the lives of Uganda's children. The effect that business has on children can be long-lasting. Childhood is a unique period of rapid physical and psychological development, during which young people's physical, mental, and emotional health and well-being can be permanently affected, for better or for worse. More than half of Uganda's children live in vulnerable situations and are prone to human rights abuses. Some children suffer from poverty, homelessness, abuse, and neglect, preventable diseases, and unequal access to good quality education, protection, and just systems. The children of Uganda have a right to grow up in a safe environment, nurtured by their families and communities with love and respect. I wish to acknowledge the good work UNICEF has done in this country over the years. You are offering hope to the young children. This is a gesture of sustainable capacity building of our next generation. I wish to challenge all stakeholders to break the cycle of poverty and abuse, the root cause of the vulnerability of our future generation. The standards and principles become a reality when they are respected by everyone. Deprivation and violation of children's rights during the formative years could have irreversible impacts. These challenges cannot be solved by a single stakeholder. There is need for collaboration. We need the government, the business community, the civil society, the parents, and the educators to fill the gaps, maximize the positive impacts, and minimize the negative ones. Corporate social responsibility has a strong focus on children. Children are often underlooked as stakeholders of business. Strengthening the family unit and empowering it physically, morally, and economically will solve the problems pertaining to the vulnerability of children. Leadership is an essential value for family cohesion. Family members, usually the adults, must assume responsibility for leading the family. If no one accepts this vital role, the family will become weak. It is important that all members of the family be involved in decision-making. Children need to be given opportunities to make decisions within the limits of their ability, to participate in family decisions, and to observe their parents' decision-making process and results. What makes a family strong does not depend on who makes up the family, but how well they work together to accomplish necessary tasks, such as meeting individual members' needs, teaching children what is expected of them, and how to carry out required tasks, maintaining the family unit, and developing a shared set of meanings, values, and goals. In addition, healthy families share a high degree of religious orientation. This involves an awareness of a higher power that provides a sense of purpose, support, and strength to each person and the family unit. It allows family members to be more patient, more forgiving, more positive, and more supportive towards one another. The National Resistance Movement government continues to recognize the importance of promoting science, expansion of education, governance, and security, including contribution to the East African integration and security, including gender mainstreaming in education, as a record of our resolute passion and vision to see that our country surpasses other economies of the world. It is also recognition of the milestones Uganda has made in building for the future and the NRM leadership. The National Resistance Movement government's mission is to enhance the pace of socio-economic development through implementing far-reaching changes in the livelihoods of the people of Uganda by transforming Ugandan economy and also Ugandan households. The hope is that these principles will serve as inspiration and as a guide for all businesses in their interaction with children. An investment in children is the best and the purest form of investment a society can ever make. I thank Unicef for the commitment to work with the government and other stakeholders towards a brighter tomorrow. It is now my great pleasure to launch the Children's Rights and Business Principles event. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister and the Right Honorable Minister Meka Rokrut. Thank you, both of you, for honoring our invitation and, of course, for your fantastic comments and contributions to today's.
And in a special way, I'd like to recognize and thank the various partners we've worked with, and I would like to say thank you to the team from Unicef. J-Mash is there behind, and he's just behind the curtain, but he's been the man behind everything. With Anne, please thank you very much. We have the team from Save the Children, and I think they can wave to us. They are behind there. We have the team from the UN Global Compact. Please thank you very much for the support. And the team from PSFU, Hope, Godwin, Persis, and the rest, please thank you very much. And NTV for making this live today. And thank you to all of you for coming. So Maurice, as you say, a conclusion to this wonderful event.
All right, once again, the conversation continues. Matters regarding children's rights. And we'll continue discussing this. This continues on social media. Our hashtag #InvestInUGChildren should be part of you every day as you tweet or as you Facebook on your pages. Please engage with us, engage with Unicef Uganda, at Unicef Uganda. That's the handle on Twitter. You look up their page on Facebook, Unicef Uganda. but also engage with that hashtag as I've just mentioned. And thanks to a social media team that has been doing a fantastic job online. And thanks to all of you, our partners and friends who have been part of this great and successful launch.
And I think to the companies here, please, let's go back and make a difference. I can see the ShopRite's managing director here, KCB team. I see a number of companies here, and some have actually left. But please, let's go and make the change in the various companies that we have. And please keep it up, because you're already doing a very good work.
All right, on your invitation card, I'm sure you've noted, the last item will be post-launch cocktail. So join us for that. Jay, I'm sure you didn't want me to forget that, because I and yourself would have stayed and finished the drinks. But I want to actually now request all of us to stand for the national anthem. Frenena Children's Choir will start this time with the East African anthem. All the three stanzas. And please sing along with them, whether you know or you don't.
Sote tuili
for coming, and our special guests, please thank you for coming. Would like to invite on behalf of UNICEF, Save the Children.
NTV, turning on your world.
Hello?
Amor Supermarket?
Yes?
This is Munji.
Yes?
The milk I bought yesterday?
Hey, what's wrong with it?
No. I actually called to tell you guys I drank it.
Make a call for whatever reason. Call someone, call anyone. Can change your life. Make a call and you could win 100 million shillings, a car, or a smartphone with free data for a year. Plus, win 2 free minutes every day.
Airtel, together we can.
This is the story of a forbidden love and a curse. Raised away from the curse, Solano Rangel returns to uncover his roots.
Solano! Those lands are mine. They're mine. I want those papers here. Look, in my hand. I hope he goes from the hospital to his grave. The big ones.
I'm right here. Come on.
What?
Dad, please stop it. Solano!
He is a brave and strong man, but he couldn't resist Estella's charms. A beautiful, mysterious woman who fights over Solano's love with Manuela, daughter of powerful Max Martinez.
No hard feelings, but Solano and I will get married. Congrats.
But she keeps a secret in the past.
I don't want to be present. I don't want to be here when it takes place. Solano!
The curse will be fulfilled.
Her real name is Estrella Caru, and her destiny